Good morning, everyone. Before we get going, I wanted to say I'm passing out. I have a few extra of the Teal hymnal. We're singing 2 songs out of here. If any of you read music, it might be a little easier to follow it along in the Teal hymnal. They're right here. Come get one. There's also always hymnals on the rack just outside the door out there, and you're always welcome to grab one. But as always, everything will always be on the screens too. So here you go. But you're always welcome to grab one off the shelves out there as well too.
Welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist. My name is Robin Bessel. I'm a pastoral associate here at MVUU, and it is my honor to greet you as we gather here together. Whether you are a member of our congregation, a guest, or somewhere in between, you are welcome here. For those of you physically present today in our beautiful sanctuary, it is wonderful to be standing here in front of you. For those of you joining us virtually, please turn on your cameras for just a moment, so all of us here may bask in the glory of your beautiful faces.
Sorry, it's not
beautiful face.
the toggle. There we go.
There's Jay. All right, let's all turn and wave to the camera. Sending each other love and good energy. However you are in attendance today, perhaps watching sometime in the future, whatever you're feeling, whatever dust you may be carrying in with you from outside, thank you for being here today, just as you are. Welcome. Leading our hot and dusty road worth traveling today is our minister, Reverend Matthew Fonqueri. Musically guiding us on our journey like a lyrical light in the darkness is our music director, Chris Tackett. And currently out of sight, but never out of mind, we have Stacy Sosa, our religious education coordinator, our team of greeters that welcome us at the door, and our hospitality crew who makes our fellowship hour in the Oasis refreshing and delicious. And last, but the furthest thing from the least, our incredible AV crew, working on the fly to keep things running as smoothly as possible. Thank you to everyone who helps make our Sunday service possible. So now this Sunday is the first in a new monthly theme. Even though our theme of rest has come to a conclusion for now, may we all continue getting the rest we need when we need it, and I hope we will all continue to dream together as well. As we shift our focus now, we begin our month-long exploration of dignity. Of course, not without dust and heat. Dignity. I know I am not alone when I share that I have been feeling the heat and the dust this summer. In fact, it seems our friend the Chaos Monster heard an invitation in our conversations back in May. Just as quickly as I found myself in a period of rest from my previously rapidly failing health and enjoying the restored life energy, The winds started to shift and swirl around me, kicking up dirt into my eyes to try and stop me from seeing my way forward, blowing tumbleweeds to whip at my heels, trying to trip me, or I'd stumble off my path and lose my way. As it launched its destructive attack, which, to be fair, simply is its nature. I tried to be strong, firmly planted, unshakable. I tried to do and help and carry and hold. I tried to be unshakable. I tried to be still, to find stillness in the storm, to hold myself and my loved ones in place. But just like the trees and cacti and power posts that were literally bent and snapped and pulled from their roots in the storms these last few weeks, I found myself figuratively thrown into the dirt, blindsided and wounded, feeling lost and disoriented. As hard as I tried, I was unable to prevent some damage to myself and my loved ones around me. But that's okay. No, it doesn't feel okay. In fact, it really, really hurts. But pain is an unavoidable part of life. No matter how strong and tall we may sometimes stand, or how good we are at weathering the storms, sometimes we are uprooted and thrown into the dirt. And you know what? Maybe I'll find something while I'm down there. Maybe a cool rock, or maybe somebody dropped $1, or maybe it's a new friend who got their glasses whipped off their face from the wind. Maybe it's a shift in perspective, or a much needed reminder to rest. So yeah, okay, 2 points, Chaos Monster, but the game isn't over. I will lick my wounds, I will get up when I am ready, I will dust myself off, and I will start moving again. Just because we are sometimes thrown into the dirt when we are trying our hardest to keep ourselves and everyone we love upright, it does not mean that we are weak, or that we deserved it, or that we can't get up when we're ready, dust ourselves off, and keep going. The chaos exists. The storms will keep coming, and pain is part of the journey. None of this strips us of our worth or our dignity, and the power of the winds that oppress as they blow their heat and dust will never be strong enough to keep us down forever. We'll light our chalice today with words by Vanessa Taitang. This is a piece called Hold Us. Here quiet. We are here with wounded hearts, open, empty, lost. We turn to you by turning forward each sharp and feel your presence, and yet have so many questions, so much confusion, so many concerns and fears, and want to know why and when the hurt will stop. Spirit of life, reside in us each. Remind we are never alone. Filled with the hurt that reminds to rest in it. Still aching for peace and love that we believe that we know is possible. Hold us gently as we gather together, comforting each other, healing each other, inherently worthy, your dignity, each of us. You hold us, hold us. Let's be.
The title is escaping me of our first hymn.
My life flows on.
Thank you.
Yes.
And anything we need to know about My Life Flows On?
Number 108 in the gray hymnal, if you have a gray hymnal handy. Otherwise, of course, all the words will be on the screen. We don't have Joel this morning. He and Grace are off. The National Flute Society is having their big convention in Phoenix this weekend. So they're up enjoying all kinds of wonderful flute music. So it's just us. So you'll have to suffer through me singing, and hopefully the rest of you can join in and belt it out and help drown me out. So if you'd like to stand, I would appreciate that. That would be wonderful. And number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song, AKA How Can I Keep From Singing?
now to a time of contemplation.
Of considering, I invite you now then, now that I'm on the speakers, to a time of contemplation, of considering and pondering desert dignity. The Desert Ritual Year is a calendar of themes created in collaboration by our Baja 4 congregations. Many diverse minds, hearts, and hands from each of our 4 congregations in southeastern Arizona contributed to the vision and selection of our themes. And this month, among the 12 that we have this church year, we reflect on dignity. There's a connection, an interdependence between our Sonoran setting and our Unitarian Universalism that assists in teasing out the themes of all these meanings. For example, the saguaro cactus, Carnegie gigantea, that towers over the Sonoran Desert. There is a dignity, a bearing to a saguaro, standing solitary and proud, undaunted by the dry and hot seasons. There's a dignity to each saguaro's abundant solidarity to the surrounding Sonoran community. Because Sonorans are a keystone species, a blessing to local flora and fauna and to the Sonoran First Peoples. Whether they stand tall for over 150 years or they fall, decaying on the desert floor, they are integral to the life of the desert. It's all evocative imagery, but not quite a clear definition of dignity. And that's because I find dignity is not so easily named. It's more of a virtue that we recognize when we witness it, more than one that we can describe. And yet, through the lens of this saguaro dignity, singularity, and the solidarity, I witness the blessing of dignity everywhere I turn in our desert. There's dignity in the landscape, from the mighty mountain ranges to the arid arroyos. There's dignity in the beings, from the slowly circling hawk, which is just a distant scratch on the blue sky, to that man that I passed just yesterday at a bus stop on Orange Grove. He was stately in his waiting, and through his large, dark black beard, he was smiling, greeting the world. Dignity surrounds us in the desert. Just as we recognize dignity when we witness it, we are also well aware of its absence. My daily newsfeed, and perhaps yours, is constantly filled and affirms that we live within a culture empowering the undignified. From national political and business and entertainment personalities, the people on the street captured by cell phones in their cruel, entitled, enraged, racist tirades. Willfully acting without dignity has become a prized pastime. These people, and I will never call them leaders, are actively whipping our world into a chaotic cacophony. Topsy-turvy tornado, a desert dust devil, a blinding dust and hateful heat. In the swirl of their bombastic bluster, they are succeeding in keeping us isolated, alone, and apart from one another, when we are facing devastating environmental disasters and terrible human rights abuses. They remind me of a quote from John Milton's Paradise Lost. "Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven," said the devil. Better to rule over chaos, kicking up dust and heat, tossing about debris and detritus, dividing toward destruction, rather than to serve with dignity. Think of that. living with dignity. Today, it means weathering a tempest, enduring an onslaught of outbursts. It means serving generously, holding oneself with dignity, respecting the dignity of others. Treating our world with the dignity it deserves is like a saguaro in a dust devil. Solitary patience, perseverance in solidarity. It tells me that in the face of all the human chaos, that's how we will endure. That's how we will live. And that's how we set our future free. So the sermon's coming a little early in the service, you might have noticed. And that's because later we have a blessing of the backpacks that we'll be sharing in. And so I just wanted to give you a little word of explanation, and certainly those of you who are here for the first time, or perhaps even second time, know that we don't generally dive this deeply into things. But to dive deep, of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe. The opening lines of John Milton's 1667 epic Paradise Lost. Continuing on in over 10,000 lines of verse, Milton's epic poem relates that through their defiance of God, Adam and Eve ate the forbidden truth and lost the earthly paradise of Eden, bringing shame and suffering and death into the world. It's a 17th century affirmation of Christianity's much older doctrine of original sin, that by the disobedience of the first flawed human beings, all people are inherently sinful. Painting in the broadest of strokes, Christian teachings of the original sin starting back in the 3rd century generally agree humanity is fallen and depraved. We endure earthly suffering and eternal damnation as punishment for that first disobedience. Each human is fundamentally flawed, eternally damned. And salvation then is only possible through the grace of God. Bringing this up, this older theology with my Baja 4 counterparts this week, the Reverend Tina Squire and Jamili Omar. We discussed the history of this theology and our Unitarian Universalist reaction. See, we don't believe that. But ours is a liberal Christian heritage. Our earliest Christian forebears were well invested in original sin, and worse, in the doctrine of predestination, that God's grace was only for a few, and that was decided before you were born. There's nothing you can do about human depravity or eternal damnation in that setting. Yet over time, our people began to distance themselves from original sin by adopting other doctrines of faith in a loving, forgiving God on one hand, and then on the other, a detailed and rational reading of scriptures. Following these distinct paths, universalism emerged and Unitarianism emerged. The Reverend Thomas Starr King in the 18th century famously quipped, "The Universalists believe that God is too good to damn them, and the Unitarians believe that they are too good to be damned." By the time these two traditions merged into one in 1961, the doctrines had been eliminated altogether, and our faith replaced them with covenant. In 1987, then, we chose to reflect our relationships in a language of covenant that among our congregations we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And this year we're considering another change to the language to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of all beings. On one hand, our covenant is an antidote to that toxic doctrine of original sin. We covenant that each and every one has worth and dignity. There is no mystical, hereditary flaw. And on the other hand, it is our continual shift away from possessing the correct beliefs, the holding of doctrinal knowledge. You see, covenant cannot, will not, will never tell you that you are damned at birth, saved only by God's grace. Instead, it just invites us into right relationships. And that may sound subtle, a little play in words, but it's what makes Unitarian Universalists fundamentally different from other contemporary faith traditions. Reverend Rod Richards, my dear friend and colleague, says it this way: "What you believe is so important, we won't dictate it to you. But we have to hold that diversity somehow, and so we choose relationship." And as true as that is for us, it's sometimes hard to imagine, but just for a moment, envision that in this room, listening and participating on that camera, perhaps sometime in the future, there are people who are theists and agnostics and atheists and Christian and Buddhist and Hindu and all sorts of wonderful beliefs, gathering together as a community of faith. It's not that you must share the beliefs of others here. We found our congregations instead. We build our faith communities upon how we relate to our differences, how we celebrate them. Now, it's a gradual and subtle shift away from even Western religious traditions. Western religious traditions that tell you you must believe this thing, doctrine, toward Eastern ones, which just simply teach how do you live. Eastern traditions like Buddhism, which asserts life is pain, Highness, and anyone who says differently is selling something. Wait, that's actually quoting Wesley from The Princess Bride. That's the scene where he's still masquerading as the dread pirate Roberts.
Anyone who says differently is selling something.
Ooh. What the Buddha taught was that all life tends towards suffering. Wanting to escape from this truth and this reality, that's the root of suffering. Centering oneself within that truth and letting go of wanting life to be something different than it is, that's the method and the path to end suffering. They're different words, but it's the same sentiment. Suffering exists. Well, Wesley was being cruel, and he did get pushed into a fjord for it. And the Buddha was teaching a path to enlightenment that he found through his living, and he wanted to share it with others. He wanted them to have the same understanding and life and enlightenment that he had. And so regardless of the differences between the dead pirate Roberts and the Buddha, the enlightened one, the truth is suffering exists. And I'm not telling you anything that you don't know from your own lives. There is dust and heat in this world. What Robin said earlier in her welcome, that instead of it being a punishment for some mythical sin, it is a reality that we can, when we relate to it, when we share it within right relationship, we can live. We can live. It's right relationship, not right belief, that we assert is the way of living. It's subtle, but it's fundamental to our Unitarian Universalist faith. Because we know that there are those who are cruel in the world, and anyone who tells you different is selling you something. People in the midst of this natural dust and heat who kick up more dust, who turn up the temperature for us all. They are so desperate to reject truth and reality, to escape from the suffering and the pain and the shame that they feel. They attempt to simply dominate it, and we can see how well that's working. Their success is only to compound it, making a tragic twister, a hurricane of devastation in our world. Shape of the world for them is a chaotic swirl of shame and suffering and death. And they want you to feel that way too. All of their power and privilege that they grasp and they impose, it doesn't escape anything. It only makes it worse. And we also know that there are those who live with dignity in the midst of natural dust and heat, who stand with dignity through the dust devils kicked up by the cruel. We know because we witnessed. They are those inspirational individuals who are at the center of the tempests of history, held firm by their beliefs, who generously gave of themselves. They are those who you know more intimately. Family, your friends, weathered whirlwinds with true dignity. They are even those whose names you will never know. We're standing at our bus stops, daily dust and heat, sweating it out, making our world better, one smile at a time. All of them are dignified, not by a single shared belief, not by power or privilege, but by their courageous relationship with a suffering world. and we witness their dignity as a profound grace towards others. By their dignity, they affirm that our humanity is not fundamentally flawed. Oh, we may be mistaken. We can be cruel and tragically, terribly mistaken. We are not fallen or broken or damaged goods. You are good, beautiful, whole, just the way you are. In our wholeness, of course, each one of us is capable of doing so much: kindness and cruelty, healing and hurting, loving and hating. But within this truth, our faith calls us to bring dignity to the dust and the heat, to share it, so that by our actions all can know that they are worthy, they are dignified as well. I'm a 21st century Unitarian Universalist, and so I don't believe John Milton's 17th century theology. But there are some areas that he continues to inspire me. In 1664, for example, when he took a public stance against the intolerance and bigotry in his world that sought to silence the freedom of expression, it's an important document that informs our freedom of speech even today. Then he made a speech and published it as the paper entitled Eri Agap. I phonetically put this out, and still tripping over it. Eri Apagaitka. Eri Apagaitka. And in it he said, I cannot praise a fugitive and cloistered virtue, unexercised and inbreathed, that never sallies forth and sees her adversary, but slinks out of the race where immortal garland is run for, not without dust. Now, the double negatives often trip me up, but after pondering it for a while, I know he is saying this, that keeping any moral stance hidden from a suffering of our world, it makes that stance worthless. Just 100 years later, in the 18th century, Universalist, the Reverend John Murray, echoed these words, which we continue to attribute to him: go out into the highways and the byways of America, a new country. Give the people something of a new vision. You may possess only a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to human hearts and minds. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Do not push them deeper into despair, but preach the kindness and the everlasting love of God. And inspired by both, I will say, it is not the beliefs that we possess or even the language that we use. It is our dignity that we live out loud that makes us Unitarian Universalists. Not for ourselves, for our gratification or our comfort, but because our world needs dignity, the saving presence and actions of human grace, of our solidarity and our solitary natures together, all in the midst and swirl of dust and heat. And it isn't one way to live in grace. There's your way, and your way, and your way, and your way. Ours is simply to embody a community that prizes dignity, that teaches grace, reminding one another and showing the world just how beautiful and whole each and every being is. It can't be so, because we choose to live by dignity and grace, wholly individual and interdependently inspired. now and in all of our days to come.
In the Teal books or on the screen, as always, number 1053, How Could Anyone?
I invite you now to a time of meditation, a moment of breath and rest, centering on your dignity in the midst of dust and heat. Reverend Alice Anacheka Naisman created this meditation titled Hope and Love in a Time of Struggle. In a world so filled with brokenness and sorrow, it would be easy to lose ourselves in never-ending grief, to be choked by our outrage, to be paralyzed by the enormity of suffering, to feel our hearts squeezed tight with hopelessness. Instead, this morning, let us simply breathe together as we hold our hearts open, breathing in as our hearts fill with compassion, breathing out as we pray for healing in our world and in our lives. Breathing in, opening ourselves to the transforming power of love. Breathing out as we pray for peace in our world and in our lives. Breathing in as we hold hope in our hearts. Breathing out as we pray for justice in our world and in our lives. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Breathing in, we are the prayer. Breathing out, we are the healing. Breathing in, we are the love. Breathing out, we are the peace. Breathing in, we are the hope. Breathing out, we are the justice. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Amen. Blessed be. May it ever be so.
blessing of the backpacks. It's a new thing for Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist. It's a new thing for me. It's a new thing for our children who are on their way to joining us in just a moment. Now, as they make their way here, I am grateful first to Stacy, the coordinator of our religious exploration, for tapping me on the shoulder. He tapped me on the shoulder and reminding me that it was the right time of the year for a blessing of the backpacks. You see, as many children and adults begin a new scholastic semester, it's the moment to recognize the sacred things they carry with them. You guys can just come right on here, right on here. Yeah, no need to wander around. We'll have more people join you in just a second. It is the right time to recognize what you carry with you in your backpacks in the swirl of dust and heat of our world. So I do want to invite up the families of the children as well. So come on up. Yep. And while they're coming up, I want to invite up any adults who are also continuing their education at this time. Who else? Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. No, yeah. And for the students who are doing this, I'd like to offer you, come stand with your families, yeah? But for the students who are doing this, I want to give you the microphone and just ask you to share your name and what you love to learn. Your name and what you love to learn. I'm going to start over here with Mark. Your name and what you love to learn.
Hi, my name's Mark Skinner. I like to learn just about everything, but science is my jam. Love science.
I have no idea.
You don't know your name?
No, my name's Hadrian. A bunch of stuff. History.
History.
I like to learn history.
What's your name?
My name's Leviana. I like to learn Spanish.
Hi, my name's Isaac, and I like to learn about sharks.
Hi, I'm Milana, and I like to learn about different people's opinions and ideas.
This way. Yep. Right here. Shoulder to shoulder.
Hi, my name is Summer, and I love to learn about relationships. What's your name?
Lucas.
What do you love to learn?
Kiss.
Kissing.
Hi, my name's Addie. I like learning about math.
Hi, my name's Jess, and I like to learn about human behavior and relationships.
My name's Anne, and right now I'm learning a lot about astronomy.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I love to learn about plant spirit healing.
Thank you. Now, in conjunction with Flowing Wells Elementary Schools, Laguna and Hendricks, we are also symbolically blessing backpacks, 49 backpacks that we have purchased and collected through your offerings, and will be going to those schools this week. We've invited you all up because education is so important to us as Unitarian Universalists. But so are you. And so our blessing for your backpacks or your bags, or for your laptops, or for your notebooks, all the tools and things that you take with you to learn, is this: you are a blessing. You are a blessing, beautiful and whole already. And in public and private or homeschool, grade school, vocational or collegiate, in all the ways that you will be learning and feeling and doing in this year of education. May you go with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. May the backpacks and the bags and the notebooks and the laptops and the pencils and the keypads be a means to receive knowledge and to grow in wisdom and to discover an inspiration for your life. Who knows where the year will take you, what challenges you might face, what trials of mind and heart, of hands that you may endure. But wherever you are going, know that with your backpacks, you take this congregation with you. Because you, and now I'm speaking specifically to the children who are in the nest, you have taught me that we are a church of the open minds, of the caring hearts and the loving hearts and the helping hands. You can do that with me if you want. We are the church of the open mind, of the loving heart, of the helping hands. And so, we are here in love and support, and we are here to witness with you that you are becoming the most wonderful you that you can be. And so we are going to give you a saguaro that you can attach to your backpack or your bag. It's actually a keychain, so are keys, as a reminder of the blessing that you are, and that your church, Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation, is with you wherever your education takes you. Blessed be. Oh, one for you. Thank you. We can talk later about trading. There you go. There you go. One for you, and one for Lucas, of course. Thank you all.
Hi, I'm Chris. I like learning about music, and I absolutely love learning new music, and especially I like learning new music in the context with friends and with people who also enjoy learning new music, which is a polite way of sneaking a commercial in for choir, which will be starting up in early September. If you're not already on the music mailing list, come talk to me. I will make sure you're on the music mailing list, and we will put you on there. Our closing song is number 1020 in the Teal book. I still have a couple of Teal books if anybody wants them. The words will also be on the screen, but you know what? You don't even need the words for community singing like this. You can stand, you can simply go la 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 la. If you get mistaken or misplaced or get lost in the music, just stand and go la 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 until you find your place again. Because the truth is, you know what's in your heart. The exact words don't matter. What's in your heart, you know what's in your heart. You can also engage with music. You don't have to sing. You can sway, you can dance, you can move your arms, you can move your body. However you like to interact with music, you're welcome to do it. Number 1020 in the Teal book, Wo Ya Ya. Once again, the words will be up here. I invite you all to stand and move. Move as you will. I dare you not to move. Oh yeah, watch on. There's a quick change in the word, in the thing there. The text is printed in the book, says, "It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, or dusty and hot." It'll be up on the screens here in just a moment. Get
Our Woven Basket partnership for the month is the Flowing Wells School Partnerships Program. As you heard, we're working with Laguna and Hendricks Elementary Schools. And if you want to learn more about how MVUU is partnering with these schools and how you can help, you can visit our website, mvuu.org/school partnerships. Now, the other day, when Reverend Matthew mentioned the backpack donation, we had 48. Now we have 49. So maybe that we told you we can get 50, 55, who knows? If you have one, you can buy one, or you can check online to see how else you can participate with us. One other quick announcement. We will be taking a beat after our service today, and then about half an hour after that, we will have our wedding in the sanctuary today. If I butcher this, someone please correct me. Ruby and Gabriel. Is that correct? Theo Ruby. Thank you, Christiana. I appreciate it. So again, that'll be about half an hour after our service today. While I was sifting through the dirt recently, I remembered the saguaro reflection that Reverend Samantha, the Dr. Reverend Samantha Wilson, shared with us a while ago, and the wisdom of the saguaro that she shared. You are a person of the long becoming. You are a person of the long-awaited bloom. You are a person of a little more room. You are food for this world. There is a hole in your heart, and from this place, there is life. That always stuck with me, and I enjoyed it. And all of our saguaro talk and storms want to personally try to take that advice and be a little bit more like the saguaro in the storm myself. As we release our flame of service today, I will share with you the words by Rebecca A. Edmiston Lang. Ooh, tongue twisters today. This piece is called Mindful of Our Highest Aspirations. Mindful of our highest aspirations, bound by common faith and purpose, and yet beginning with ourselves as we are. Let us take one more step together in our unending quest for dignity, justice, and love. Amen.
All right, I saw you all trying to look polite, trying not to look silly. If we all look silly together, then none of us look silly. On your feet. Just a simple sway. 1 and 2 and 1 and if you feel like getting more involved, you certainly can, but there's no requirement. But once again, if we all look silly together, no one looks silly. Work on it. Come to choir.